Hi, we're talking about the invasion of Normandy today. Maybe if I can find it here. Anyway, thank you.
What's up?
Here too, there we go. You'll find the handout and everything on your homework page. All right, here we go. We're going to stop talking now. We're going to pay attention because otherwise, seriously, the extra break has got to go. Okay? And I don't want to take that away, but I will because, in my opinion, your parents are paying for you to get an education, not to get extra pay time.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's entirely up to you. If you want to come in here and settle down and pay attention when we get back in, we can continue to have a little bit of extra break. Okay? Sorry about that. All right, on June the 6th, 1944, the Allied forces of Britain, America, Canada, and France attacked German forces on the coast of Normandy, France. Remember, the Nazis have they've overran France, okay? With a huge force of over 150,000 soldiers, the Allies attacked and gained a victory that became the turning point of World War II in Europe. This famous battle is sometimes called D-Day or the invasion of Normandy, okay? Braxton, would you roll that down for me?
How did it get its nickname?
Yeah. Okay. Leading up to the battle, Germany had invaded France and was trying to take over all of Europe, including Britain. However, Britain and the United States had managed to slow down the expanding German forces. They were now able to turn on the offense. Okay? To prepare for the invasion, the Allies amassed troops and equipment in Britain. They also increased the number of airstrikes and bombings in German territory. Right before the invasion, over 1,000 bombers a day was hitting German targets. So they're trying to weaken the German offense. Okay, they're trying to weaken it so they're not able to go on attack. They're keeping them from setting up a good defense. So they bombed railroads, bridges, airfields, and other strategic places in order to slow down and hinder the German army. Okay? The Germans knew that an invasion was coming. They could tell by all the forces that were gathered in Britain, so they knew something was up. Okay, and of course the additional airstrikes was a dead giveaway that they were planning something. What they didn't know was where the Allies would strike. And in order to confuse the Germans, the Allies tried to make it look like they were going to attack north of Normandy, okay? And the Germans actually fell for it. First of all, I'll show you a map here in a few minutes. It's a point that is closest to Britain, Great Britain, and France. So it's not as much ocean to have to come across, okay? So theoretically, you would have thought that's where they were going to launch the attack. So that is really where the Germans sent the concentration of their troops, was there. And then the force actually attacked further down the southern coast. Yes?
Imagine just that one guy just standing there and doing his duty, not expecting anything. All of a sudden, he's in the distance, starts screaming.
Well, there was more than one, but there was, yeah.
No, there was a big fog, and when the morning came, so many ships.
Although the D-Day invasion had been planned for months, it was almost canceled due to bad weather. General Eisenhower finally agreed to attack despite the overcast skies. Although the weather did have some effect on the Allies' ability to attack, it also caused the Germans to think that no attack was coming. So they were less prepared as a result. Thank goodness, because it was still a heck of a battle going on here. The first wave of attack began with the paratroopers. These are men who jumped out of the planes using parachutes, of course. They jumped at night in the pitch dark and landed behind enemy lines. Their job was to actually work their way back towards the beach, destroying key targets and capture bridges in order to keep the main invasion force to land on the beach. Okay? Thousands of dummies were also dropped in order to draw fire, okay, from the confused enemy. Okay, because when you're floating down in a parachute, you are a pretty easy target if someone sees you coming.
Yeah, they can just shoot.
Okay? In the next stage of the battle, thousands of planes dropped bombs on German defense. Soon after, warships began to bomb the beaches from the water. While the bombing was going on, underground members of the French resistance sabotaged the Germans by cutting telephone lines and destroying railroads. So this is a well thought out. This was not something that they just came up with, one Friday afternoon, a couple guys sitting around. This is a well thought out attack with all the right people in the right places. Otherwise, this doesn't stand a chance of succeeding. Okay? Some of the main invasion force of over 6,000 ships carrying troops, weapons, tanks, and equipment approached the beaches of Normandy. You also had Omaha and Utah Beach, and American troops landed at both of those. The Utah landing was successful, but the fighting at Omaha Beach was fierce, and many U.S. soldiers lost their lives at Omaha. But they were finally able to take the beach. After the battle, by the end of D-Day, over 150,000 troops had landed in Normandy. They pushed their way inland, allowing more troops to land over the next several days. By June 17th, over 500,000 Allied troops had arrived, and they are now beginning to push the Germans out of France. Okay? Some of what they considered the interesting facts. The troops needed the light of the full moon to see the attack. For this reason, there was only a few days during the month which the Allies could attack, and this led Eisenhower to go ahead with the invasion despite the bad weather. Otherwise, it would have had been delayed for up to a month, okay? And they couldn't afford that. The Allies wanted to attack during high tide, as this helped the ships to avoid obstacles put in the water by the Germans. And although June the 6th is often called D-Day, D-Day is also a generic military term that stands for the day, D of any major attack. There you go, Miller, that was it, okay? The overall military operation was called Operation Overlord. The actual landing at Normandy was called Operation Neptune, okay? The overall attacking all the beaches was the Operation Overlord. Actual hitting Normandy was Operation Neptune. Okay? Now, if you look on that first page there, though, you'll see those guys coming off of that garbage container almost, what it looks like.
Yeah, like the
Going into the water, okay? We're going to talk about that just a little bit later on, okay? Hold up just a second. All right, anyhow, got you reading, got 10 questions to answer. I'll try to include a couple of videos, at least one, to watch with this also, okay? Bye.